It's week 7, and we'll discuss our favorite plays on the main slate on DraftKings as we prepare a full cash lineup and our favorite stacks for GPP play. We survived another week in Survivor, so we're ready to give you our week 7 NFL Survivor picks coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lay.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Hey, Eric, real quick, a shout out to our FFC community for being so active in the comments section with their takes on the main slate for DraftKings. Remember, those who are the most active and provide the best reasons for their comments will qualify for that free-to-enter contest with a prize pool of $200. Just a couple shout outs here. We got Robert Adelman, who commented on using Khalil Herbert. Thought that was a good one. Good comments there. And also Apples Edmund for going with Darrell Williams. There was several good comments on DraftKings this week.
And we want to make it a special appeal to our audience over the next 3 weeks. We have noticed this show, the DraftKings and the Survivor show, is basically being buried by the YouTube algorithm, specifically because there's so much competition. So we're appealing to you guys to do 3 things, especially in this next 3 weeks. First, if you can make it a habit, smash the like button for each of these videos over the next 3 weeks. Share it with your friends. And if you haven't yet, hit the red subscriber button. And when we say share it with your friends, find a family member, at least one, or a friend or a league mate who loves the NFL, and actually send them a link to our show. Or if you really want to help us, actually put a link on one of your social media. We'd really appreciate it. We put a lot of hard work in this show, and we want to get it into front of more eyes. All right, let's show how valuable the show is. All right, we're on the main slate for week 7. Michael, this week is the biggest bye week all year. We lose 6 games to buys, as well as the normal Thursday, Sunday night, and Monday night games. But there's still a bunch of good games. So even though there's only 10 games to choose from, we feel pretty good about our lineup. We're going to start at running back. Traditionally, Michael, we like to pay up, but there isn't that much there. Christian McCaffrey is again going to be out. He's going to be out for a couple more weeks. Not clear about Barkley. So if we're not going to go with Henry and Jones, the prices start getting pretty reasonable.
Yeah, no, I mean, Derrick Henry's always tempting with what he's been doing week in and week out, and Kansas City's defense is penetrable for sure, but he's just so expensive compared to some of the other options.
Yes, so we're going to pass on Henry. We will not be upset with you if you decide that you want to build a lineup with Derrick Henry. We're going to go at the pretty, he's the third, fourth, fifth highest price running back, but at only $6,600, he's a bargain. And we've just been on him because the Rams continue to have an unbelievable game script. He is a home favorite, 15.5 point favorites this week against those Detroit Lions, who have not been successful at stopping anyone. An absolutely obscene 33 point implied total. And Michael, I just see this game with the Rams getting way up and then leaning heavily on Henderson, and Detroit not being able to do anything about it.
Yeah, I think some people think Sonny Michel might come in and swipe a goal line carry or get some carries at the end of the game if it's a big blowout. But the Rams are really touting him as their guy, obviously getting him involved, as we can see the last few weeks, more and more each week. He's going to have a big week.
Yeah, let's just look at the games that he's playing and look at the floor that he provides, which is what we want in cash games. Yes, Michel will get his carries and he may steal a goal line carry, but just look at the touches he's getting. And now we get a game script where we think the pie is going to be even bigger. All right, we got Henderson. Who are we going to pair Henderson with?
Well, coming off a bye week, I really like how Cordero Patterson's been used by Atlanta, especially in a PPR league. He's basically a receiver in the backfield who has size. He's actually getting almost as many carries as Mike Davis, and he's getting all those passes. So you can see he's had some big, huge weeks. His floor also is very high. Little concerned about Mike Davis coming off a bye and against a team that's been pretty bad. Getting perhaps a little more outsized carries this week. They use him quite a bit, but Patterson's been their star, especially with the injury with Ridley being kind of down and out. We'll see. I think he'll be back this week, but I think really high floor here.
I think in the offseason, we always wondered, where's all of Julio Jones' targets and activities going to go? And it's gone to Patterson more than anyone else as the beneficiary. Like you said, I like his floor. The environment is, his team is favored. They're not at home, but they are favored. A 25 implied total. Still reasonable. FanDuel has really priced him up where DraftKings hasn't, and DraftKings has the full PPR. So definitely happy to get Patterson in our lineup. Because we didn't go hog wild at running back, you guys know what that means. We get to go hog wild at wide receiver. And the game that you just need to have some exposure to is the Kansas City, Tennessee game. That has by far the highest over under on the main slate, an obscene 56.5 total points. And the odds are that Hill is going to be heavily a part of it. He's fourth in all of the NFL in targets, averaging 10.5 a game. And he has that big play potential. Every time he touches the ball, there's a chance that he can break off a long run after catch, potentially closing with a touchdown. And the Tennessee secondary is, let's just be nice, below average.
Yeah, no question. And it seems like Mahomes is kind of just off right now. He's not on his A game. And what I've noticed is one, they're going with the run a little bit more to balance, which is I think a good approach. But also he'll get the ball to Tyreek when he's getting a little bit anxious because he knows Tyreek can do extra things with it. And we saw that this last week against Washington. I think we'll see it again this week against Tennessee.
All right. Admittedly, he was expensive to get in our lineup. We have no problem, by the way, with Devontae Adams at home against a bad Washington secondary, at least. So if you want to pivot that way, but the $300 savings, we like going with Hill. Who else we got at wide receiver?
Yeah, who's not that expensive and is surprising to me, but I think it's because of how he's been utilized thus far. It's AJ Brown. He was out for a few weeks, but he's going up against the Kansas City defense. Yeah, it looks like they're one of the stronger passing defenses, but it's only because teams like to run against them because they're so easy to run against, or they try and slow the game down. But we saw in the second half last week, AJ Brown didn't get a single target in the first half of this last game against Buffalo, a really strong defense. But you saw when Tennessee needed to come back in that game, they went to him. I think Julio Jones is very questionable at this point with a hamstring injury. So AJ Brown not only will be the beneficiary of that, but he is the number one target for the Titans, and I think he's ready to go off now that he's healthy. And so I think we're going to see more of these 16+ point weeks from him.
I love this pick. He's just simply too cheap on DraftKings at $7,000. Don't worry about the Indianapolis Colts game. If you're looking at the ledger, he got hurt early in that game. That's why he did poorly. Then he was out. He came back his first game back in week 5. But like you said, he looked good in the second half last week, even though I think he had like a fever or some type of cold. But he should be good to go this week. All right.
It's 7,000, but it's 6,300. Big deal.
Sorry. All right. I 6,300. I was confusing it with his FanDuel price. But by the way, be careful when you're picking him at 6,300. You got 2 A Browns at $6,300. This Antonio Brown's good as well, but we like AJ Brown this week much more. All right, so we got to save money, and we have a guy that we're going to go back to who we talked to you about last week. At wide receiver, it's the rookie sensation who finally got on the field. It's Rashad Bateman for the Baltimore Ravens. Look, so far this year, if you're looking at the Ravens offense in the passing game, it's either Andrews or Hollywood Brown. Lamar Jackson desperately needs another player to throw to, and Rashad Bateman, I think, can be that guy. He ran the second most routes of all wide receivers on the Ravens last week, only behind Hollywood Brown. And remember, the game script, they got way up on the Chargers, and they just ran the ball all the time. And he still got 6 targets, caught 4 of them. And at 3,400, he just opens up a lot, Michael, for the lineup.
Yeah, I think in a PPR league like this, with Bateman, being the star that he can be, he's going to get his targets and catches this week. I see him getting half a dozen or more receptions this week, and hopefully more than just 11-yard catches or 2-yard catches than he got this last week. So I like this. I mean, what a bargain.
Yeah, and I think that Cincinnati game, I think they can score some points there. So we'll get Bateman in the lineup. So let's stay on the theory of we need to save some money. So when we go to tight end, we can scroll way down and we can pick up Cole Kmet. Now, the other guy I want to shout out, who our audience has been great in talking about the last couple of weeks, is Ricky Seals-Jones at 3,700. He's a nice option, but we need to save a few more dollars. So at $3,000, Cole Kmet. He's facing the Tampa Bay Bucks, and you know what we say around here. The Tampa Bay Bucks are a great run defense. So you're not going to be able to do anything on the ground. So the way that you attack them is in the air, and they've been susceptible to tight ends this week. So again, I'm not looking for a ton, Michael, for a $3,000 salary, but just give me something similar that he got last week against Green Bay.
Yeah, I think some people might be tempted with Zach Ertz because he's going to make a difference on Arizona, and they are big offense that can move the ball. But it's week 1 for him. He still needs to learn the passing game, so he's only cheap, I think, for that reason. But yeah, keep an eye on how he gets priced in future weeks.
All right, so let's before we go to quarterback, what do you have cooking at the flex position?
Well, I know we want to spend a few bucks on quarterback, so I think we got to be a little bit thoughtful on price here. And so, I really feel like the Kansas City Chiefs have figured out that when they're not able to just score at will, because perhaps Mahomes isn't just the magician that he can always be, they've been going with the run a little bit to balance things out. Darrell Williams not only was involved heavily in the running game with Clyde Allaire out, but in the passing game. And so I really like his floor here. He was used pretty heavily last week, and I think he'll have to be used heavily this week because I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. What an exciting game that's going to be this week to watch.
Yeah, so as much, we got 2 players now with Hill and Williams in that game, and AJ Brown. I just think you got to have some exposure to this game. Now, we told you not to worry about Derek McKinnon last week, and Williams, 21 of the 24 rushing back carries. McKinnon only got 3. This is his backfield. He's the goal line back. As you can see, he'll get involved in the passing game, and we love the environment. His team's a favorite with a 31 implied total. So happy to get him in lineup at a relative bargain at $5,800. And thank you, Michael, for not spending a lot of money and allowing me to get the quarterback that, to me, is the quintessential cash game quarterback. Why? Because he has an unbelievable floor. Man, he is so good. It hurts. Jalen Hurts. Michael, do you realize the lowest he has scored in the 6 games that he has played this year is 21.8 DraftKings points? So that is absolutely amazing. He's in a game this week that has an over-under of 49. And the guy, because he's such a dual threat, passing and running, he eats up garbage time. So really hard to imagine a situation, barring injury, that you can go wrong with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as I've been watching all of these Raider games, I know that historically they have been susceptible to running quarterbacks. And so I think he's going to get his yards on the ground in addition to what he does, regardless of score in the air.
All right. So, Michael, usually we go dirt cheap on a defense, but not this week. I really was shocked that the Arizona Cardinals were not one of the highest defenses, somewhere around $5,000 or $4,000, where the Rams are, the Bucks are. They're 3,100. Done. Bam. Get them into the lineup. Why? Well, they are home. They're favored by 17.5 points. Did you hear me? 17.5 point favorites. And they've been very active on the defensive side in pressuring the quarterback. They've gotten 17 sacks this year. That is the 5th most of all defenses. Not clear whether Tyrod Taylor will come off the IR and play this week, but they might get rookie QB Davis again. QB Davis Mills if Tyrod Taylor's not back. Regardless, man, I love this. Defense is very unpredictable, but we put ourselves in a great opportunity, not only for a decent floor, but maybe a smash game here.
Yeah, well, I have no idea where this pricing came from. Arizona looked great against Cleveland on the defensive side as well, and then Houston looked atrocious. So we'll see.
All right, so that's our cash game lineup. Let's talk a little bit about a GPP. Here, we always want to try to give you a GPP stack. We'll give you 2 this week. I got 1. How about that crazy game where we got the Lions and the Rams? We had that quarterback swap, Michael. And I am going to go with the Matthew Stafford side. How about Matthew Stafford to his favorite target this year, Cooper Kupp, and run it back the other way with a guy who's been heavily targeted, TJ Hawkinson. And that is 20,600. I know a lot of people are like, hey, what about the KC stack? Because that's the highest scoring game. Well, that is a very expensive stack if you want to go Mahomes to, say, Hill or Kelsey and run it back with Brown. So here we save a lot off that stack, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I mean Cooper Kupp's been getting so many targets, but I got a cheaper stack for you. I'm gonna say, think about saving $1,000 to go with that Baltimore Ravens game and go Lamar Jackson to his favorite tight end, and then run it back with Jamar Chase on Cincinnati. So I think it's gonna could be comparable in terms of upside, and you save $1,000 for some of your other positions.
No, I like that. And man, the upside that Jamar Chase gives you is so immense. And the Ravens secondary can be exposed. All right, everybody, let's go back into the studio. We got a fun Survivor segment to talk about this week. All right, week 6 is in the books. It was a relatively safe week where all the big favorites won, although my Seahawks gave you Steeler folks a little bit of a scare. Anyways, let's review Michael and I's picks so far. We have successfully navigated 6 weeks, but we have a bunch of teams that we can no longer pick for the rest of the season. Michael, we are a third of the way done. So we just need to get 12 more games. How are we going to do it this week? Well, here are the 6 teams we think you should be considering. All 6 teams are at home. Arizona, 16.5-point favorites against Houston. The Rams, right behind them, 15.5-point favorites against Detroit. We got the 2 Bays, Tampa and Green Bay, 13.5 and 10-point favorites over Chicago and Washington. And then touchdown favorites are New England and Baltimore, 6.5-point favorites over Cincinnati. I want to briefly talk about those last 2, Michael. I'm not touching the Baltimore Ravens. They, you got to remember, they're 5-1, but they came 2 games they really should have lost. They should have lost to the Colts and they should have lost to the Detroit Lions. And look, I know you're the Cincinnati guy who loves them. I respect them, as I hate picking against them. They are a dangerous team. So, but if I'm taking a chance, the team I'm going with is not Baltimore, it's New England. I like this game. New England against the Jets. They already played the Jets earlier this year in New York and beat them badly, 25-6. They have basically zero future value other than week 17, which that's so far and away into the future. I kind of like this New England pick. What do you think, Michael, of these 2 games?
Yeah, it's tempting, especially with what happened first time they played. But sometimes when you play a team twice, things can shift a little bit. I think the head coach in New York he's got some real potential. I think he'll do some things on the defensive side. They could
Robert Saleh.
Yeah, and you just never know what a rookie quarterback can do. But yeah, I mean, New England should win this game. My hesitancy is only just because New England's not that good this year. I agree with you on the Baltimore call, even though they looked fantastic against the Chargers this week and seem to be coming on strong, any given Sunday when you're playing in your division. So, I mean, those other 4 games to me are locks, especially the top 3. I want another comfortable week. How about you?
Yeah. So I'm not picking the Rams in Tampa Bay because they have such incredible future value. If you haven't picked the Rams are such a good pick later when they host Jacksonville relative to the other weeks. If you've saved them this far, I implore you to continue to save them. So yeah, I don't know about that Green Bay pick. So here's the deal. Let me reveal my pick. My pick this week, I would like to say that New England is something you should go for. But I already picked them. So I can't pick New England. Now, it's Michael, are you a little nervous that I would say, like, hey, cross this bridge? I'm not going there, but this bridge is safe. Cross the bridge. So I don't know if people buy it. So it's definitely, if it's in a really big pool and you want to take a chance, I would recommend New England, but I am not going New England, because I've already picked them and I probably want to be a little bit more conservative. So Arizona, an undefeated team, Michael, against the Texans, who's lost 5 straight, and they have lost in grand style, an average of 20 points a game. Arizona has so many weapons on the offensive side, and they got a new shiny toy. Zach Ertz joins the lineup. I mean, do you see any scenario where Arizona doesn't win this game?
Yeah, like 6 people get hurt. All their stars. I mean, I just think this is the lock of the week, as they say. And I agree with what you said about the other teams' future values. I mean, maybe Green Bay being the one that perhaps doesn't have a lot of future value. I know you didn't really talk about their future value, but they have Seattle in week 10 at home, and I don't think that Seattle's going to have their quarterback back, Russell Wilson.
Don't make me get my Seattle jacket.
Yeah. So
Seattle's not a great team, but I don't think they're one of the teams that you can quote pick on. They are not at the bottom of the Jacksonville.
They're a different team with Russell Wilson out. That's for sure.
Yeah. There's no question. There's no question about it. I'm contractually obligated to say any NFL team can beat any NFL team, and it's possible Houston could win. Okay, so that out of the way, there are compelling reasons not to pick Arizona, but future value isn't a big one, right? Far less than the Rams and the Bucks, and it's really week 15, which is the big week. It's likely the best game of the week to pick Arizona, but week 15, Michael, is a long way away.
Yeah, that's what I was eyeing as well. I think that, that should be the best game that week, but it's in Detroit, and, and who knows what will have happened, like you say, by that point in the season in terms of injuries to Arizona or something like that. So let's take our win this week.
Yeah, here's the only reason I can think of not to pick Arizona. The only reason is they are by far the most popular pick, right? They're getting 47% of the people picking them. The second most popular is Green Bay at 17%. And if the unthinkable happens, right, you're gonna lose basically half your pool. So when I see that, Michael, where someone's getting 50%, and there's other games where I'm almost as likely expecting, and I do, the Rams, the Bucks, and Green Bay are almost as comfortable, not as, but almost. The logic is you should not pick the most popular pick, but because of the future value of those other teams, the Rams and Tampa Bay, and because I already picked New England, my pick this week is the Arizona Cardinals.
Mine as well.
I'll put on the screen the FanDuel show for week 7 when it's available, plus one of our NFL DFS master classes. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you then.
Stay safe.